Hold on to your hats, because Joe Sha's life is intertwining like the thrilling plot twists of her sensational online novel, The Bloodthirsty Forensic Medicine of Two-Sided Man. As a bubbly freshman heading to Jang Nan University, her mom, Chen swoops into her sanctuary of creativity to pack up her bags. Oh, the drama of parental concern. And just when you think it's a solo adventure to school for our dear writer, boom. Childhood buddy Chia Yasi jets back from overseas, ready to escort her to the university. Plot twist: Joe Sha had solo plans. Meanwhile, the silent brooder Jiao Fanjo from the forensic medicine department is now on a mission. Operation New Student Pickup. With Joe Sha's phone as dead as a doornail, their first link up is via QQ, and let's just say it's as smooth as sandpaper. She's under the hilarious misapprehension that her craft assaults his beloved forensic medicine. But fate, much like her mother, has other ideas. The parents whisk Yasi to the campus, clueless that Joe Sha is AWOL. Yasi turns detective, tracking her down. After some check-in chaos, our girl lends a hand to Professor Hu and reunites with Joe Sha in a hair-raising scene. Literally, as Joe's locks tangle with a parasol in front of Xiao, revealing his unexpected departmental identity. The university life of Joe Sha, so chaotic, so charming, and just like her novels, never dull.
In the intriguing world of forensic medicine, Joia does her best to dodge him, but let's just say her feelings aren't playing along. Meanwhile, Xiao is all about making impressions, wowing the professor with his top-notch report. Over in dorm land, Chia's got a bit of a mess on her hands. Her parents, bless them, accidentally wreck a roommate's masterpiece during move-in day. And the drama doesn't stop there. Chia has a senior sliding into her DMs asking for her WeChat. Smooth, right? But she shuts him down in fluent Japanese. Talk about lost in translation. Our budding writer Peing is living the creative struggle. Despite her friends thinking she's making bank with her writing, she spills the tea that her wallet tells a different story. In a bold move, she attempts to infiltrate the lab, only to be busted by Jack. Surprise, surprise. On the military training front, Joe Shia makes a discovery. Jiao Fanjo, the mysterious presence, is actually her class tutor. Chia and her trusty sidekick Taing hatch a plan to dodge the training by playing sick. Too bad for them, their instructor isn't falling for it and instead, makes them the stars of a push-up show. As if that's not enough, panic ensues when they hear the instructor will be inspecting their dorm. In a frantic scramble, Josia and her crew try to stash their contraband. Caught near the window and in a desperate move, Josia tries to toss her curling iron out, only to be caught red-handed by Jiune. Oh, the perils of dorm life. In a thrilling turn of events, Jiao Fanjo swoops in to save Joe Shia from a potentially sticky situation, granting her a daring escape. Meanwhile, down the hall, Joia bumps into Julu, who is quite peeved about her moved belongings and the mysterious odor emanating from her quilt. As they search for a straightener, they stumble upon a telescope. Oh, the intrigue. But alas, their curiosity lands them in hot water when they're caught red-handed with prohibited items by a housekeeper. Not once to be deterred, Joia and Jiao band together, and she finally retrieves her curling iron. During this little escapade, Joia can't help but notice a curious scar on Jiao's shoulder, sparking whispers and wonder about his past. Cut to the next day, where the rock climbing session turns into a psychological thriller as Joe Shia ponders over Joe's mysterious skills. Lunch rolls around, and Yasi decides it's the perfect time to stir up some laughs by teasing Joe Shia with an embarrassing photo. Classic. As night falls, emotions run high. Julu feels left out and accuses her pals of cold shoulders. Joe Shia, the ever-diligent friend, rushes to check on her, but the drama peaks as Julu ends up in the infirmary after one too many drinks. Upon awakening, the mood lightens, and the group shares jokes, smoothing over any ruffled feathers. Amid the intense military training, Joe Shia grapples with muscle soreness, while Julu bounces back unaffected, thanks to being in a different class. Oh, the joys and jolts of youth.
While hunting for treasures with his detector, Joe Shia's quest took a hilarious twist when he literally bumped into Jiao. As fate's comedy would have it, right amid this clumsy encounter, Joe gets a buzz about an injured student, causing Jiao to dash away. Meanwhile, in the scholarly corridors, a professor was dissecting Jiao Fan's performance, offering nuggets of wisdom on hacking detection. A skill somewhat crucial after a hacking debacle at a military training conference. Post-training, the campus buzzed with club recruitments. While Taing snored away his opportunities, Joe Shia was making some bold moves. She attempted to charm her way into the literary club. Her prose dazzled, but her arguments? Not so much. Rejected. This left Jiao watching awkwardly from the sidelines, glued to the spot by the drama of it all. Not one to dwell on rejection, Joe Shia bounced over to the badminton club, where she met the club's prez, Chen. Meanwhile, Julu was causing a laugh riot by mixing up national badminton champ Xia Yixing for someone else. Spotting Xia's arm injury, Joe Shia leapt into action with some sports-savvy advice, earning an impressed nod from the champ himself. Last stop, the anime club. But alas, it was another no-go. Disheartened yet open-hearted, Joe Shia found solace in sharing her club-hopping saga with Julu, crafting yet another delightful chapter in her university escapades.
Imagine this, there's a budding detective eager to crack the code of cyber sleuthing, but, oh boy, the nerves kick in. Meet our quirky hero who, with a push from a pal, gathers the guts to approach Chia, right in the midst of a crowd. The topic? Hackers, of course. There's a suspicion floating around that Kias is the tech wizard behind the curtain, but phew, a quick chat clears that up. Now, cut to Jia Yichun, who's as red-faced about her hacking chops as one would be singing off-key at karaoke. Seeking sage advice, she turns to Seo, who points her towards the student union, talk about being redirected. Meanwhile, our keen detective can't resist the lure of criminal minds and ditches poetry for psychology. And guess what? The prof totally lets her stay after a sneaky little excuse. Here comes the twist, a devious plan to bait the hacker with, wait for it, a handwritten note. Classic, right? But hang on, as our plot thickens, Cassie points an accusing finger, suspecting a cover-up. In a dramatic confession, Joe plays the hacker card, Tada, just as Gia rushes to spill the beans. Amidst this chaos, Seo steps up, cape fluttering, defending our folks' hacker hero from the academic claws. Can you believe the drama?
In a whirlwind of ambition and drama, Joe Sha steals himself, embracing the idea of launching a detective agency. Meanwhile, a romantic gesture goes hilariously awry when the boys set up a candlelit heart to serenade their girlfriends outside the girls' dorm. However, Joia remains unimpressed, dousing the flames with a bite of indifference. Amidst this, Taing, detecting undercurrents of affection between Kaya and Joia, strategically downplays their friendship to throw off the gossip trail.
In the midst of these personal upheavals, Kiasi grapples with financial turmoil triggered by his mother's questionable choices, leaning on Joe for moral support. And there's Joe, hitting a wall with the student union, but learning from Xiao about their all-hands-on-deck busyness. He ropes in Xiao, who's caught up with the badminton club buzz.
At the same club, Jay Yiking's attempts to charm Julu backfire comically. His antics irritate rather than impress, leaving her sprawled on the badminton court. While Chen Yu rushes to show some concern, Zi's awkward help only fuels a fire of jealousy among the other girls. Meanwhile, Joe Sha is caught in a spiral of paranoia, haunted by Xiao's mysteriously recurring presence in the library.
After a little awkwardness where Seo had to clarify his not-so-creepy intentions, Joia found herself still oops a tad embarrassed. Meanwhile, Seo couldn't help but notice Joia catching some Zeds alongside a pile of detective novels. Clearly girls got taste in mystery. In class, Joia vowed everyone, acing a pitching game like a pro. She even roped Kasi into joining the detective agency, dangling the promise of a VR museum visit, totally oblivious to his crush on her. But drama unfolded in the VR game when Kasi didn't shield her, awkward, confirming her hunch that he just sees her as a friend. Confronting her past, Joia faced down Fang Wei, a boy who'd once made her blush with embarrassment. Then, just when Seo rings with the good news of her detective agency application, bam, a guard throws her off with a cautionary whisper. Misreading clues, Joia mistook Jia, armed with chemicals for a stalker, and slammed the elevator door in panic, trapping herself in a malfunctioning elevator. Desperate, she tried reaching Kasi but no dice. Her only hope, Detective Seo to the rescue.
In an unexpected twist, Kasi suddenly rocketed to popularity among the girls after showing off his hacking skills. To dodge their affections, he pretended to cozy up to Joia, sparking hilarious attempts by Taing to play matchmaker. Meanwhile, Xiao invited her roommates, including Julu and Chen Yu, to a daring escape room challenge at the detective agency, leaving Zi Yixing feeling left out. Just when things couldn't get more awkward, Jia swooped in claiming she and Xiao were thick as thieves, much to Joia's dismay. Eager to steer clear of the messy drama, Joia dipped into the forensic lab for some novel inspiration, only to discover the professor was a fan of her work. Chaos ensued when she paired Kasi and Xiao on a project, with their cooperation hanging by a thread. And with Chen Yu under the weather, Zi Yixing was pulled in as a substitute, stirring up a storm of objection from Julu. Seizing the moment, Kasi attempted a sneaky escape, but Joia had other plans, locking Jia, Fanjo, and the rest in the club and challenging them to find their own way out.
While X was busy yiking away and driving everyone bananas, Seo coolly snagged the key and off they went, though time snoozed off. Meanwhile, Zixing and Julu hit the supermarket, but the spotlight hogged by Zed's autograph-seeking fans couldn't snag Julu's interest. Oops, a head bump for Julu, but Zed turned hero and requested fans delete any snaps, earning points. Then, boom. Zhao Fanjo, turning detective with his knowledge of Joe Shia, spotted a clue in a balloon, secretly returning it to her. Julu, catching the drift about the balloon, but alas, it was snatched by Xiao. Cue the stealth duo, Joe Shia and Xiao, sneaking into a forensic lab, finding themselves in a pickle under the watchful eyes of security, sharing a notably awkward pause.
Hold up. There's a dorm creativity contest, and Joe Shia is on it with Lu Wei. Not to be sidelined, say Yixing, spelling competition, got Xiao to swap seats for a better spy game on Joe Shia's moves. Sneaky, right?
And amidst this cloak and dagger school life, Joe Shia is cooking up plans, stirring the pot of intrigue. Stay tuned. Just as Joe Shia was getting into the groove of his dialogue, Yixing couldn't help but cut in, stealing the spotlight, much to Kei's annoyance. Meanwhile, Julu was practically yawning into her sleeve from boredom, until, bam, Chen Yu popped the idea of a group photo. Julu's mood lit up faster than a flashbulb. And though Sha tried her best to throw a wrench into the works, her photo-sabotaging skills were no match for the group's selfie game. When the photo op wrapped, Julu, ever so casually, tried to snag Chen Yu for a dinner date. But then she pounced on the invite like a cat on a mouse, forcing Julu to shove the dinner plan onto the back burner, much to Chen Yu's disappointment. Talk about a third wheel. Switching scenes to the academic arena, there's our dear professor counseling Zhao Fanjo to mix a little fun with his beakers and test tubes. Now, back to Joe Shia, who's been itching to borrow some fancy lab equipment for her novel, yeah, the one throwing forensic doctors under the bus. Trust Xiao to jump in and lighten the mood, even convincing the wary professor to lend a hand with Joe's writing puzzle. Oh, and did I mention the cantaloupe ice cream outing? There's Joe Shia with Xiao, pondering if his niceness is just too good to be true, all while flashbacks of lab awkwardness dance in her head. Xiao's there, always ready to lend an ear. Zed, heartsick over his unrequited love for Julu, confides in Xiao. The advice? Ditch the grand gestures, buddy. And back to Joe Sha as she.
So, in the thrilling world of university competitions, Dorm bagged a victory, but hold your horses. C smelled a rat. Was it sheer talent, or a sprinkle of popularity behind that win? While that drama unfolded, Xiao had a light bulb moment, advising Joia to snag a job at the library and square up her debts. Moving on to sports, Chen Yu threw an invite Z's way to join the Intercollegiate League. But guess what? C tossed it right back, earning the arrogant badge from Julu. Talk about a misunderstanding. Meanwhile, in a corridor collision, Kai bumped into Joe Sha, grappling with a stack of teaching materials. Goling, ever the networker, spotted a golden opportunity but was swiftly sidelined by an irked Joe Sha. Ah, the classic dodge. Caught in a whirlwind of emotions and amidst a mix-up with Professor who hilariously mistook a coat-covered specimen incident for a secret date. It's clear Xiao's got more than just academics on his mind regarding Joe Sha. And just when you think it couldn't get more sitcom-worthy, Casey cornered Joe Sha, awkwardly mistaking her friendliness for a financial windfall. Oops. Finally, racing to the badminton hall, Chen Yu stirs the pot further by setting up Yixing to coach Julu. A fierce showdown in women's singles is on the horizon.
Imagine this, after an intense tennis training session, despite feeling exhausted, she insists on perfecting her backhand. The coach, impressed by her unwavering commitment, lets slip that an old injury kept him from competing in the coveted Intercollegiate League. Meanwhile, our quick-witted Chia finds her diligent efforts on her Hafu assignment underappreciated, contrasting sharply with the lavish praises showered on Lua. Not one to dwell, she heads to the library only to be swept away by Xiao who, eager to impress, switches plans to join her for dinner and a game, improvising a supportive role. On the competitive front, Julu's shining moment in the singles hits a snag as she injures her foot. Heroically, Jay Yixing vows to clinch victory in her stead and spectacularly replaces Chen in the men's singles, snatching triumph from the jaws of defeat. The drama doesn't end there. Julu, returning Zed's clothes, stumbles upon his secret injury in the boys' locker room, earning her respect instantaneously. In another corner, Zhao's hands never falter, as he skillfully resets a dislocated arm, proving his invaluable medical prowess. When it comes to celebrating their club's victory, only Taling and Joe make it, leaving us wondering, where's everyone else? In a whirlwind of club activities, Chenu threw out a fab suggestion: why not invite the clubless wonders to join the volunteer squad? Joe Shia, feeling a bit adrift, hopped on board anyway. Meanwhile, Yaking was all hyped to smash a Guinness record at the upcoming fest, but Julu wasn't having any of it, too frivolous, he thought, better to wait for Chen Yu's wise words. Over in the more shadowy corners of town, Xiao Fanjo and Kasi tiptoed into a detective agency, only to find Joe Shia and Taing glued to a spine-chilling horror flick. Poor, jittery Cassie got a comforting pat from Joe Shia, right before Xiao announced his overtime woes and whisked her away. Tolling, playing Cupid, nudged Cassie to confess his crush to Joe Shia among aisles of books where silent words speak volumes. Speaking of volumes, Xiao was knee-deep in book repairs, totally in his element. Lucky for him, Joe Shia, ever the enthusiast, jumped at the chance to assist, his hands getting a colorful makeover from a rogue printer cartridge, a quick wipe from Chia, and his mood was back to sunny. Amidst all this, a locked door post-closing time found them trapped in the literary haven. At first, Joe Shia's nerves jangled like wind chimes in a storm, but then, serenity embraced her, settling into the unexpected library sleepover. Imagine the scene. Joe Xiao, totally smitten, found his shoulder the unwitting pillow for a tired friend, capturing a delightfully unexpected, cozy moment. Meanwhile, our ever-concerned duo, Cassie and Taing, were frantically trying to get in touch with her the very next day. But no worries, Joe Xiao was there to play the calm hero, assuring them all was well. Fast forward, and Joe's diving headfirst into volunteer work at the student union, only to be tossed into the deep end by Gichun, who placed her in one of those groups that make you sweat just thinking about them. Despite that, Joe Xiao rose to the occasion, muscling through tasks like a champ, even lugging water around for a talent show. And oh, the drama when a last-minute hitch threw the school celebration program into chaos. But guess who lit up the scene with brilliant solution ideas? Yep, Joe Xiao, alongside a quick cameo by Kaya that had Joe a touch flustered. Determined to nail the show's opening act, Joe Xiao roped in Lu Wei for a dance number, and let me tell you, folks, it was the stuff of legends. Lu Wei hit the stage with moves so fiery, they sparked a spontaneous dance revolution right there. And lucky us, Joe Shia caught it all on camera and pinged it over to Xiao, setting the stage for what was to become an electrifying opening act. As for the final showstopper, Joe certainly didn't just perform, she dazzled, leaving the audience, and yes, even Jai Yixing and Kiasi, absolutely enamored by her sheer presence and newfound allure. Talk about leaving a mark.
Xiao, in a stroke of boldness, slathered medicine on her bruised legs. Meanwhile, Cassie decided to wear his heart on his sleeve and confessed his crush for Joe Sha right in the middle of a crowd, earning a round of excited cheers. But, oh the twist, Joia totally got it wrong, thinking Cassie was into someone else. Even as he poured out his feelings, she just couldn't catch on, leaving him red-faced and exasperated. All the while, Jaya looked on with a sly grin, thoroughly entertained by the mix-up. Now, switch scenes to Josia stumbling over words trying to define her ambiguous ties with Kai. Over in another corner, Julu became the target of unwelcome attention from a classmate. When he pushed too far, she tripped spectacularly into a trash can. Sei Yiking leapt to her aid, not by pulling her out, but by smashing the boy's phone. A dramatic rescue indeed. Elsewhere, a heated debate erupted in the library over a missing cat, and Joe Shia stepped up as the knight in shining armor, convincing Jiao Fanjo to join the quest. Their adventure led them to an eerie, abandoned house. Here, the thrill got a bit too real for Joe Shia who, in a spooked frenzy, clung to Jiao like a life raft.
Imagine this, after a scare, Comfort just had to have ice cream to calm her nerves, totally charming Jiao in the process. Meanwhile, Gichen roped Xiao Fanjo into a hypnosis project and surprised him with a hug, leaving Joe Shia quite unsettled after catching the scene. On another front, Yixing's idea of romance was taking Julu to a dim, cozy restaurant, aiming for a love spark, but instead he managed to just spark frustration. In a delightful twist, Jia, Fanjo, and Joe Shia stumbled upon a cat stuck in a hole, and heroically, Joe Shia whisked it off to the lab for a bit of an urgent kitty maternity situation. Despite getting a bit of a telling off from Professor Hu, Joe Fanju couldn't help but chuckle when Joe Shia filled him in, punishment or not, it was all in a day's work. Meanwhile, Chia, struggling with her novel updates, reached out to her forensic consultant Zhao Fio, who was frankly wiped from late-night lab gigs. At a hangout, she defended her escapades with Zhao. They were just on a cat hunt, people. And amidst friendship suspicions, Joe Shia's anxiety spiked when Xiao was nowhere found in the library, prompting a jittery inquiry to Mr. Hang. Well, folks, buckle up for a twist in the tale of romance and mystery. So, there's Xiao, busy buzzing around with his experiments, leaving our dear Joia all by her lonesome. But wait, the plot thickens. Kay swoops in and whisks Joia away to a detective exhibition. Meanwhile, Xiao, wanting to add a sprinkle of romance, tries to score tickets for the same show to surprise Joia, but alas, no tickets. Here comes Professor Hu, a man with a plan, feeling a tinge of guilt for keeping Xiao tied up in lab coats and test tubes. He concocts a ruse involving a phantom book to engineer a rendezvous between our would-be lovebirds. Yet, when Joia arrives, the jig is up. No book, just thinly veiled matchmaking courtesy of Professor Hu. As Xiao throws a curveball inviting Joia to the exhibition, she drops the bomb. She's already going with Kei. Talk about a plot twist. Cut to the exhibition day, Joia stuns in her casual chic, turning the bus station into her runway, but then, ring, ring. It's Kei's teacher on the line with news. Kei's pinned down in training. Bummer. At the exhibition, Joia is like a kid in a candy store, buying gadgets left and right, maybe blowing her budget, but hey, who's counting when you're having fun, right? She rocks some swanky new glasses and even plays fairy godmother, gifting Jiao a snazzy red bow tie, urging him to jazz it up. All's well that ends well? Not so fast. Inject a slice of innocent mischief as a little boy unwittingly bursts Joy's fashion bubble. Ah, the sweet symphony of chaos and charisma at the detective exhibition. Stay tuned for what's next in this roller coaster of accidental encounters and fashion faux pas.
Picture this. Amidst the buzz of the exhibition, Joya's quirks catch the eye, but a cheeky comment about her glasses leaves her secretly tucking them away. Thanks to Jiao's sly moves with the backpack. As they sneak out, Joe and Xiao are all charm and competition, practically tripping over themselves to be her knight in shining armor. Cut to the meteor shower night, while the stars are playing hard to get. Everyone snuggled in an abandoned building, snoozing away except for Joe. Smooth move of the night? Laying down a doll as a pillow for Jiao, oh so sweetly marking his territory. Poor Cassie can only watch, her heart sinking as Joe's affections seem set. Fast forward past the Spring Festival. Joe's hit with a wave of inspiration, furiously penning down a novel starring none other than Jiao. Back at school, he's texting, she's fretting, shouldn't she reply? Then in a wholesome twist, everyone bands together for a post-holiday cleanup and shared meals, while Jiao gets a library date invite. Will she, won't she? Only time will tell. Well, what do we have here? A blossoming romance, a dash of awkwardness, and a sprinkling of culinary adventures. It all started when Joe, feeling all jittery, tried to dodge Jiao. But you can't hide from Cupid's arrow, can you? As they tidied up books, Jiao couldn't resist. He left Joe a little something that shouted, "I've got eyes for you." Fast forward to their cleaning duty in the broadcasting room, and bam, Jiao spills his guts, confessing his feelings. Joe, she's as flustered as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. Their ensuing hangouts? Awkwardly adorable. Picture this. They're munching away in the cafeteria. Joe munching on her beloved pig brain flowers. Yep. You heard that right. While Jiao chomps down just to impress. Poor Yasi catches this lovey-dovey scene, his heart sinking faster than a cookie in milk. But wait, there's more. Xiao's not shy. He grabs Joe's hand right in the middle of campus. Talk about swagger. As they get cozy, Yasi, heartbroken, seeks the truth from Joe, who confirms, yep, she's all in with Jiao. The love train doesn't stop there. Jiao walks Joe to her dorm, and she sneaks a cheeky wave from her balcony. Love's in the air, folks. Meanwhile, Joe can't keep the secret any longer and spills the beans to her friends. And just when you think it's all about Joe and Jiao, Juju's gearing up to lay her heart on the line for Chen Yu during a school event with international flair. But hold up. Joe's paired with a handsome South Korean charmer, stirring up a whole pot of jealousy in Juju's pot. So, grab your popcorn, folks, cause this rom-com saga at the university is just heating up.
In a cozy library corner, Joe and Jiao's romantic sparks were flying as they swapped books and bashful glances. Meanwhile, at a swanky eatery, Julu and Chen Yu were diving deep into the L word, making the ambience even more intoxicating. But hold on, plot twist. Yixing, from his espionage-worthy side table, eavesdropped on Chen Yu phoning a mysterious girl. Drama alert. Turned out, it was just his cousin on the line. Folks, crisis averted, and Yixing got a stern, watch it, warning about jumping to conclusions. Back at the library, Joa was wrestling with the dreaded writer's block and dealing with a major crush on Annie. Little did she know Annie found her adorable too. But when Zhao's boyfriend Fanjo surfaced, it left Annie realizing she wasn't the only one smitten, sparking a hint of green in Xiao's eyes. However, this mix-up magically unclogged Joa's creative pipes as love and literature mingled, leading to a heart-thumping first kiss with Xiao, leaving her both thrilled and a tad nervous about their budding romance. On the other side of town, Zixing turned detective, combing through Chen Yu's stuff for any sign of two-timing and discovered, gasp, lipstick and rubber bands. Convinced he had the smoking gun, Zixing charged at Julu with the evidence, but she wasn't biting. Oh, the intrigue. Stay tuned, as more secrets surely wait to unravel.
Alright, brace yourselves for this campus soap opera. So there's Xiao, right? Chen Yu invites her to a hot pot even though Z has been trying to convince her that Chen Yu is up to no good. Xiao, however, is all cool as a cucumber, showing zero interest in diving into that drama. Even after sharing a kiss with Joe Sha, who's clearly got the hots for her. Now, in class, while Xiao should be focusing, she's lost in her own world of words, and even Xiao has to nudge her back to reality. Meanwhile, Z's on a mission to prove Chen Yu's a two-timer and shows Julu all the evidence. But Julu? She's in full denial mode. Nope, not my Chen Yu. leading to some intense face-offs. Parallel to this love battlefield, we've got a professor subtly nudging Xiao about her brewing romance with Joe Sha and dropping some wisdom about dating. Now, Joe Sha's getting the jitters thinking maybe he's the bad guy after all. Plus, Jay steps into the detective shoes, roping Xiao into a plan to uncover who Chen Yu's mysterious girlfriend is. Meanwhile, Jiao just wants to hang with Xiao, but girl's busy playing Sherlock Holmes. In a twist, Julu confronts Chen Yu over some suspicious lipstick and rubber bands, and guess what? He pulls the classic, "It's my cousin's" card. Just then, Chen Yu's girlfriend calls, totally messing up his plans with Julu. Over on another front, Jay and Kasi feel like rookie spies approaching Chen Yu's girlfriend, trying to squeeze some truth out of her. And for the climax, Ziyi Xing stakes out Chen Yu's house till midnight. Talk about commitment. But alas, nada. Nothing to see here, folks. Just your regular dose of college drama. What a ride.
In the midst of heavy dramas, Joe Shia and her merry band of friends were knee-deep in planning how to tackle the curious case of Chen Yu. Julu, fueled by a mix of skepticism and hope, was all ears with her friends rallying around her. Meanwhile, the ever-enthusiastic Jiao fanjo sprang into action, organizing a craft workshop that proved a tad challenging for Joe Shia. Amidst the glue and glitter, Jiao nonchalantly tied back Joe Shia's hair, his small act of thoughtfulness nearly going unnoticed. But wait, the plot thickens. Shixing, a true Sherlock in disguise, managed to snag Chen Yu's girlfriend's number, passing the crucial intel to Julu. And Taing? Well, he dropped the bomb, revealing Julu's whereabouts at the cafe, having a tete-a-tete while waiting for the tardy Chen Yu. As the clock ticked, Chen Yu eventually made his grand entrance, only to be confronted by Julu. With the stage set, his girlfriend dropped the truth bomb about his infidelity. Quick to anger, Chen Yu's eruption was so dramatic, it could have earned him an Oscar, prompting Zhe Yiking to whisk Julu away from the explosive scene, while Joe and company gave Chen Yu a piece of their mind. Phew. As the dust settled, Julu, heartbroken yet relieved, found a sympathetic ear in Zhe Yiking. Meanwhile, Joe Shia wrestled with guilt for ditching her date with Xiao, who, like a knight with a glitter glue sword, reassured her with a crafted surprise. What a whirlwind of emotions and revelations. In a twist of romance and misadventure, Xiao boldly declared his love for Joia, pitching for a public love saga. But Joia, the private kinder girl, preferred keeping things under wraps, stirring a love pot of tension. Meanwhile, Julu, heartbroken, ditched the cafeteria bus for solitude. Despite Joya's nudge to venture out, Julu wasn't biting. As Xiao and Joia paired up, Joia turned the lab into her second home, multitasking between experiments and penning detective novelties. But here comes the twist. Xiao got so buried in his work that meals and sleep became ancient history. Waiting for her overly dedicated beau, Joia nodded off, and Xiao, seizing the moment, recorded her snoring, a classic move. A call to Xiao from a worried Joia led her to believe she's the third wheel, thanks to Xiao's casual mention of Joya's snooze fest. Hoping to shake Julu out of her blues, Joe Sha and Taing whipped up a plan for an amusement park adventure. But drama unfolded as Julu spotted ex Yiking and Jiao fanjo at the park. Jealous sparks were about to fly, but Jai, always the pacifier, turned the tide. And as the wheel keeps turning, Joia, ever so sociable, was all in for joining the fun.
While each person showed their unique side during a vibrant day at the amusement park, Xiao was more of a lone ranger, preferring solitude over the crowd. Meanwhile, Julu was feeling a bit blue watching the lovey-dovey couples, but see, in his ever so clumsy attempt to lift her spirits, only wound up with his ego slightly bruised as Julu took him down a notch in a shooting game.
Then there was Joia and Xiao, quite the daring duo. They took on the roller coaster, Xiao, gripping Joia's hand, maybe a bit tighter than he should due to his fear of heights. And boy, after that ride, the photo booth pictures told the story of terror mixed with delight. Following the highs, Joia enjoyed teasing Xiao about their hilariously mismatched expressions.
Fast forward, and the excitement dimmed a smidge when the fireworks were a no-show. No worries though, Xiao turned up the heat by buying some impromptu fireworks, leading to them ducking and weaving when the staff started snooping around. Wrapped up in the chaos, Xiao spilled the beans on his secret study spot, right there on the slide.
Meanwhile, Joia, in a sweet gesture, snagged a bubble machine to keep the spirits high, which led to romantic sparks flying between her and Xiao, ending the evening on a high note with a moonlit kiss. And Xiao, bless him, tried to keep pace with Joia, but let's just say biking isn't his strong suit, much to Joia's amusement.
Imagine this, Gichen's phone takes a tumble, but phew, it survives without a scratch, while she's left enviously eyeing the rest of the group. Xiao's all buzzing about a lecture from her idol, author Chen Ming, but oh snap, it's locked behind the forensic medicine department doors. Talk about VIP access. Julu's been Mia from badminton for ages, but thanks to Zed's persuasion, she's back on court, albeit spying Chen Yu around, which totally throws her off her game. Meanwhile, Joe Shia is whispering secrets about the lecture, but gets busted by sharp-eared Mr. Teacher. Joe is grappling with her phone repair costs, wishing a negotiator superhero like Kei could swoop in and haggle that down. And there's more. Jay informs Julu that Chen Yu's gearing up for a grand apology, but she's mixing feelings with frosty vibes, though Zed is slowly thawing her heart. Before the lecture punchline, Chin Mom swoops into Professor Hu's lab, with Jia tagging along as the trusty assistant. Joe Shia races to the lab, charged up to meet Chin Mom, but ends up red-faced when things don't go quite as planned. What a whirlwind, right? It's like a drama series, no popcorn needed. When the call came for another open lecture at school, Chin Mung was all in, but needed Joe Shia's outline first. Confident as ever, Joe promised it by dawn, but oops. Needed a quick save from Seo. Morning came, and Joe turned in her masterpiece, only to find herself wrangling the audience when Chin stepped out. When Joe took over the mic, she didn't just fill shoes, she rocked them. This, however, didn't sit well with Gichun, who felt her toes were being stepped on. As Joe battled stage jitters, Chin's pep talk and their witty banter turned the tide, charming the socks off the crowd. Poor Jia though, green with envy, not loving the spotlight on Joe. Amidst this drama, Seo, capturing every moment on camera, got a call that turned his world upside down. His mom was in a car accident. He dashed off, texting Joe, who remained blissfully unaware thanks to Jia's sneaky delete button finger. Post-lecture, when Joe couldn't find Seo, panic set in. While asking around, she bumped into Jai Yixing, who was clueless about the chaos. Meanwhile, Julu was dodging the rumor mill.
Oh, the drama in the badminton club is juicier than a ripe peach at a summer picnic. After her breakup with Chen Yu, our gal turned to Z for some much-needed defense against the gossip. Juju was the go-to for advice, instructing Joia to check in on Xiao, who, rumor had it, was shacked up at the hospital with his mom. Poor Joia. She trekked all the way to the Department of Forensic Medicine only to have Jia stir the pot, claiming Xiao reached out during his mom's health scare. Feeling like a leftover from last week's luncheon, Joia convinced herself Xiao was giving her the cold shoulder. In swoops Kaya's with ice cream, trying to lift spirits. But Joya's mood was stickier than a melted sundae. She slapped on a brave face with her friends but sneakily texted Jiao. No luck there. Jiao was all tied up with his mom's situation. Joya's frustration boiled over, and bam, she hit below the belt, deactivating Jiao's meal card. Meanwhile, Joe Sha was floating in her bubble of heartache. Not even Sha Yixing's thrilling game could spark a smile. Resolute, she channeled her energy into academics, dazzling Mr. Shu and her classmates with a contest-worthy manuscript. But oh, the eye rolls from her roomies over her mood swings. Yet, life has its ways of throwing curveballs, so who knows what's next in this roller coaster ride.
Hold on to your hats, folks, because the roller coaster ride of romance is on a wild detour. So, here's the scoop. Spirits Kai Yasi, the beloved cupid of our tale, organized a rendezvous between the cautiously optimistic Jiao and the charming Joia. As the sparks started to fly, Joia confessed to accidentally blocking Seo's flurry of texts, an oopsie that almost capsized their love boat. But hey, all's well that ends well, right? With a dash of humility and a heap of eagerness, Seo whisked Joia off to upgrade her tech game, insisting on nothing but top tier for his lady love. While picking out swanky new phones, they spiced it up with matching phone cases. Imagine Seo with a pink case, now that's a plot twist. Meanwhile, Seo's strategic evasion of hopeful Gichun's affections keeps us all guessing. And just when we thought the surprises were over, Seo wowed his mom by showing off a pic of Joia, who, let's just say, totally aced the mother-in-law's first impression test. With final exams throwing chaos into the mix, Seo's resolve was to track down his other half, proving that when it comes to love, no obstacle is too big. After acing her test, Mr. Shu, seeing her potential, suggested a summer rendezvous with the Beijing Writers Association. Joe Shia was over the moon. She spilled the beans to Jiao, who hinted at tagging along, but Joe opted for a solo adventure. As school wrapped up, the gang planned an epic getaway to He. Si Yixing, ever the artist, was all in for a sketching expedition to Ha-Chan. Poor guy worried Julu might think he's shadowing her, so he roped in Jiao, who was hesitant at first, but Joe Shia played the cheerleader and nudged him to join Julu. Meanwhile, Joe Shia and Taing were on a snack run when they bumped into Kei. Taing, bubbling with excitement, invited Kei to crash their trip. En route, Joe Shia snoozed off, while Seo curated a playlist of whispers to keep her dreams sweet. On arrival, he sneaked a swift kiss while she was lost in drowsiness. The room situation turned into a comedy of errors when Joe Shia, grabbing her ID, returned and had her cheeks painted red upon realizing the room mix-up. Imagine the scene. Joya's dad barges in, eyebrows raised, as she's right in the middle of a cozy hug with Seo. Smooth operator Seo, trying to break the ice, introduces himself and drops the bomb that he's into forensic medicine, cue parental concern rising like a dramatic opera note. But Joia, ever the defender, jumps in to smooth things over. Now, Mr. Xiao, he's got that classic stern dad vibe, but gosh, even he couldn't resist Xiao's charm. So, he throws down the culinary gauntlet, asking Xiao to show off his cooking chops. Picture Xiao in that kitchen, whipping up magic, winning over Joya's mom while her dad still shoots those skeptical glances. Post-dinner, Dad tries to put the brakes on this budding romance, but Joia? She's like a magnet back to Xiao, sticking by him despite the awkward vibes Dad's throwing. Dinner round 2, and this time Mr. Xiao invites Yasi to stir the pot, making everyone squirm a bit while they pretend to be engrossed in their TV show. Joia, bless her, leans on Xiao, but a dear old dad's glare retreats faster than a shy turtle. Next morning, the plot thickens as playful Joia wakes up, probably with that mischievous twinkle in her eye, while Xiao looks on, utterly besotted. What a sitcom, right? In a delightful twist of fate, Joe discovered the warm embrace of his family, starkly different from his own chilly upbringing. His mom floated the idea of a leisurely walk, but Mr. Zhao's iron grip on schedules had Joe Fanjo bidding a hasty adieu, promising Joia he'd swing by soon, if mom gave the thumbs up. Back home, Joe stumbled into a family drama worthy of the big screen, with marriage woes tossed around like a hot potato. With a sharp detective's hunch, Joe suspected his mom, Chen might be battling some mental gremlins and urged a health checkup. Meanwhile, chat bubbles about Beijing summer camp popped up, and Joe fretted Joe Shia might catch wind of the family soap opera. At the hospital, amidst swirling misunderstandings, poor Joe Shia thought Chen had one foot in the grave, fluffing up the drama. Post-camp, as a dutiful son, Joe ushered Joe Shia to the airport with heavy-hearted goodbyes, while back at the ranch, home, Yasi turned hero, deftly fixing a fan for Shia, keeping the cool and cutting down the commotion.
Things are heating up. In a comedic dash to the airport, Joia almost became roadkill trying to fetch Jiao Fanjo, who, despite being rattled by her near miss, couldn't hold a grudge. Meanwhile, in the academic trenches, Joe Shia's struggle caught Zhao's eye just as he wowed their professor with his savvy. Over in the cafeteria, Si Yiking and Julu were turning heads, stirring up the crowd with their little love showcase. Invites flew around as Julu and Z beckoned Joia and Xiao to their table, but Taing, feeling like he's in Fanjo's shadow, slid in a mention of a suicide prevention event. Amid these waves, Xiao nudged Joe Shia to not drop the ball on her manuscript and shared news of his family's return from Beijing. As the drama thickens, Joia, with butterflies in her stomach, prepares for a hospital rendezvous with Shenjun, alongside Xiao. Bracing to meet his folks, she armed herself with just sheer nervousness.
Imagine a hospital room buzzing with laughter as Shen, touched by the surprise flowers from Xiao, evokes a joyful atmosphere until Jia Yun walks in with a stack of genetic test results. As the room's mood shifts, Mr. Xiao makes a quick exit, leaving Jia to untangle the emotional web. The plot thickens as Jia, unable to resist, playfully nudges Joe Shia about Zhao's rather dramatic threat to break up over bad genes, sending ripples of worry through her. Meanwhile, Joe Shia's charm works wonders on Shen, lifting spirits and sparking creativity as she wraps up her manuscript. In a twist of fate, Joe Shia, filled with hope, invites Xiao out. But oh, the hesitation. Poor Xiao, bogged down by a grave misunderstanding about inheriting bipolar disorder, stands frozen in fear of his own DNA. Amidst this genetic jumble, Taing's heartache over a recent breakup catches Joe Shia's eye during an interactive event bursting with drama, where out of nowhere, Zed finds solace in Julu's unexpected kiss. Amidst all, the duo daringly plunges into a death simulation experience, stirring a mix of reluctance and intrigue in Zhao, who can't decide whether she's more into the breakup or the adrenaline rush.
Imagine this. Out of the blue, Joe decides he wants to break up with Joia. She thought he was joking until he handed back her phone case. This wasn't a trick, he was for real. Heartbroken, Joia sobbed her eyes out, while Xiao was left swimming in a pool of guilt, convinced he had no choice.
Confused and betrayed, Joia poured her heart out to Yasi, who was ready to breathe fire at Xiao for the emotional wreckage. Meanwhile, Xiao, he was taking a nostalgia trip, regretting the breakup amidst their cherished memories.
Now, with no sign of a makeup text coming her way, Joia overheard some big news at the student union. Xiao was not just walking away from the relationship, but also from his cozy library job. Talk about a full exit strategy.
Elsewhere, love was all roses for Zi Yixing and Julu, but a storm was brewing. Yasi, fueled by rage, landed one on Xiao, leading to a scuffle. Despite the drama, Joia tried to keep it cool, pushing through her days with a brave face. What a roller coaster, huh?
Oh, what a tangled web of emotions at the library. Just when Joe Sha was filled with hope to possibly bump into Xiao, boom, plot twist. Yasi shows up instead, toiling away part-time in hopes of catching her eye. Cue the awkwardness when Jia enters, fumbling with a computer. Thank goodness for Kaiji's quick thinking to diffuse the tension while Joe Sha absent-mindedly wiped down a cabinet. But wait, Xiao springs into action, worried over a non-existent injury, grabbing Joe Sha's hand. Drama peaks as Yasi, not having any of it, promptly escorts her to the hospital, much to Joe Sha's reluctance. Meanwhile, Shen Moon lights up the room, quite literally, with Joe Sha's favorite takeout, ready to party it up hospital style. Just as Joe Sha sits, wondering how to deal with Xiao, her old friend Xiao pops in unexpectedly, leaving everyone's emotions as jumbled as a plate of spaghetti. But fear not, Shen Jun, ever the peacekeeper, smooths things over. What a roller coaster of a day. So here's the scoop. Shen tried being slick by getting Xiao to feed Joe apples, right? But oh boy, when Joe accidentally pricked her finger, there was Xiao, playing the night with a bandage. However, despite Shen's tempting hot pot dinner invite, Xiao was like, nope, I'm a free bird now, leaving Joe crushed. Ouch. Trying to lift the mood, Cassie whisked Joe off for some go-kart fun, but darn it, closed gates. Not missing a beat, Cassie dialed up the owner, spilling his guts about his huge crush on Joe. Yikes, she overheard, queuing up maximum awkwardness for their next chat. Although Joe got a whiff of Cassie's sweet vibes, her heart just wasn't in the game. Talk about hiding your feelings while cleaning the library. Cassie locked Joe inside by mistake. Memories of Xiao's confession came flooding back, just adding salt to her emotional soup. Meanwhile, Joe was gearing up to tag along with Shen to Beijing and drop the bomb on Professor Hu about her school hiatus. Talk about a stunner. Then, bam, ex-Yiking tells her Xiao dropped out. Stone-faced but jittery inside, Joe had a tough cookie to crumble, and yes, Cassie noticed all her inner turmoil.
Well, grab some popcorn because things are getting juicy. Jiao took a mini break from work to cozy up with Chen at the hospital over the Spring Festival. Meanwhile, the buzz about Joe Shia's novel on social media tugged at Sio's heartstrings, yet he played it cool and didn't reach out. Picture this, Joe Shia spots Cassie sneakily buying up her book, a sly move to jack up its sales, and there she is, hiding out in the library, desperately hoping someone else will grab a copy, even skipping her munch time. Zoom back to Sio, who arrives fresh from Beijing, catching a glimpse of Joe Shia and Cassie together. Drama alert, he ducks out, maybe a tinge green with envy. Then there's Gichun, dropping hints about flying the coop to immigrate, yet Sio isn't biting. After a school day reunion, Sio jet sets back to Beijing and, plot twist, snags a copy of Joe Xiao's now trending novel. Meanwhile, Chen's bouncing back with Mr. Jia playing nurse. But hold the phone, Mr. Xiao stumbles upon a genetic test report, a sly move by Jia to reignite old sparks. Betrayal in the air, he hangs up, leaving us all hanging on what's next. Wow, did you hear the latest drama at school? Xiao finally learned the juicy details about his and Joe Shia's dramatic breakup, all thanks to Shen who nudged him to patch things up. Poor Xiao, he still has the hots for Joe Shia. So, when Joe Shia was busy taking out the trash, Xiao made his move. But oh, emotions were flying high and they just couldn't spill their hearts out. Fast forward to the day of the Chinese character exhibition, Joe Shia almost took a dive off a ladder. Thankfully, Jiao and Cassie were there to save the day. But what did our girl Joe Shia do? She bolted like a scared cat, leaving a confused Xiao trailing behind her. And there's Lua, always playing it cool, suggesting Cassie give them some space, talk about reading the room. Now, just when Xiao was about to pour his heart out to Joe Shia, Fong Wei jumps in. Yep, the man babbles about wanting a fresh start with her, not knowing he's stinging her heart even more. Oh, the irony. Let's not forget the campus gossips, Zed and Julu. They've been poking their noses, worrying about how Joe Shia feels for Xiao. Meanwhile, the drama queen Taing is now threatening to ditch Fong Wei, just for kicks. Oh, what a roller coaster of emotions and confusions. Welcome back to the drama, folks. In a twist of fate, as Joe Xiao strutted into the room, teacher Han tossed him into the drama of reconciliation by nudging him to cozy up to Kai. What a plot twist. But wait, there's Joe, dodging closeness like it's dodgeball season, responding icier than winter in the Arctic. Then boom, an earthquake shakes things up and Joe Xiao, ever the cold cucumber, barely bats an eyelid. But not all heroes wear capes, folks. Kai, in a dazzling display of heroics, sweeps Joe Xiao off to safety, sporting a hero-worthy arm injury. Fast forward to the infirmary scene where Joe is getting patched up, and oh, the awkwardness as Joe Xiao helps him dress. Could slice that tension with a knife. Meanwhile, earthquake-shook students buzz around the playground like bees on coffee, jittery about aftershocks. And there's Joe Xiao, desperately vying for attention but, oops, swing and a miss. Joe is not exactly handing out roses here, folks. Talk about a wild ride of emotions and awkward antics, served with a side of seismic tremors.
Oh, what a night for Shen Meng and the gang. Shen, always the schemer, cooked up a plan to get Joe Sha and Xiao back together by secretly inviting them over. But hold on, drama alert. Mr. Xiao pops in and, plot twist, his son's got a fever from an injury. To give the young lovebirds some space, the elders feigned a night out, sneakily locking the door behind them. Inside, as Xiao puts on his best, dizzy, act, Joe Sha rolls up her sleeves to play nurse. Trapped in, with nothing but Chen's pantry supplies, they get cozy. That's when Joe Sha discovers the medicine's still good. Aha, could this be Shen's doing? As Xiao gets better, he panics, scared that Joe Sha might bail. Pleading for another shot, things get real emotional, real quick. Joe Sha's haunted by past hurts, pours her heart out, and Xiao? He's there, comforting her like a pro. Now, Joe Sha had plans to walk Jia Fanjo to class, but oh boy, the feels get too intense, and she bails. But Jia Fanjo? That lad won't back down. He's off to her classes to prove he's in it to win it. What a move, Jia Fanjo, what a move.
Ever wanted to swoop Joe Shia off to an amusement park? Guess what? She'd much prefer a laugh with her pals. When they bumped into Professor Zhao Fanjo on campus, Zhao played hooky but got busted, swapping a would-be date for some good old lap scrubbing. Although Joe Shia put on a pretty pout, she was secretly thrilled to hang out, even if it meant cleaning. Things went from soap suds to serious when they stumbled upon a body bag. Of all things, talk about a messy flashback to their breakup days. Try as he might to mend fences, Zhao Fanjo couldn't shake that guilt off his sleeves. So, he took the plunge, suggesting they seal the deal with a marriage certificate, vowing to stick around for the long haul. As graduation loomed and everyone buzzed about their future, Joe Shia kept her patch up with Jiao under wraps. But no secret is safe, right? Cassie blabbed to the rents, stirring up a storm at the ceremony. Joe's dad was all thunderclouds, worried she might wind up heartbroken, again. Meanwhile, tassel turning should have been all cheers, but instead, they tread lightly around relationship landmines.
Alright, folks, putting a ring on it in public has never been for the faint of heart. When ex-Yiking decided to pop the question to Julu publicly, the crowd went wild with a cocktail of emotions. Picture this. Joe Xiao and Xiao Fanjo biting their nails, worried this whole shebang might crash their own love story. But have no fear, Shen Mingjun, the love guru, stepped in. He smoothed things over with Joe's dad, turning a family soap opera into a feel-good family sitcom. And guess what? Parents got chatty about wedding bells and diplomas simultaneously. Fast forward a little, and ex-Yiking and Julu aren't just life partners. They're gym partners too. That's right, they opened a gym where their love's been squatting and lifting through highs and lows, proving a good workout regime really can keep a relationship fit. Now, mixing love and dumbbells aside, let's talk about Joe Sha. This lively soul finally found a perfect blend with Jiao and Ju's chill vibe. They've been ironing out past wrinkles and sewing together a quilt of happiness. Oh, and Jiao Fanjo? He's not just on the guest list, folks. He's graduating cum laude in the School of Love, thanks to Joe Sha. As weddings bells ting, Joe Sha and Xiao Fanjo are dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Joe couldn't keep away and sneaked a visit to Xiao, who's been buried under reports. With the best man spot still open, thanks to Xiao's kept-to-himself charm, Joe raced to Kai, and bingo, he said yes without a second thought. What a story, what a journey. Love, drama, gyms, and weddings. A classic modern-day fairy tale.
As Joia glided down the aisle, the air buzzed with emotion. Her father, Mr. Joe, fought back tears as he gave her away, a bittersweet moment indeed. Sio, brimming with anticipation, knelt and slipped the ring onto Joya's finger, sealing their vows with a kiss. In the background, Jian finally released her pent-up emotions after a tumultuous 4 years. The ceremony was lively, highlighted by Joia tossing her bouquet, which, to everyone's surprise, was caught by Lu Wei. This left Chia Yiking in the lurch, his hopes of re-proposing to Julu dashed as he watched the newlyweds bask in their joy. But the real kicker? At the reception, Jiao, slightly overserved, decided it was the perfect moment for some impromptu comedy in front of their parents. Needless to say, his jokes landed with a thud, adding a splash of awkwardness to the evening. As Joe Shia's tipsy new husband, though, Jiao just rolled with it, relishing in the newfound liberty of marital bliss.